Hi guys, and welcome back to another video Game with the Powers. I'm Jake.
I'm Sierra.
And in today's video, we're going to be talking to you guys about a brand new game coming to Gamefound very soon called Sunday League Football. Alright, this is coming to you from Sunday League Games and designed by Gastón Montes. Just want to give a huge shout out to Gastón Montes. He reached out to us. He watched our Uncredited review and a couple of playthroughs of that, and took the time to reach out to us and ask us if he could send us a prototype copy of this game for us to review, and then obviously help support him. And we love him wanting to help support us as well. So today's video is going to be a little different from our traditional reviews because obviously this is a prototype. So a lot of our reviews, like the price and replayability and all that stuff, the game is not 100% finished yet. So we just want to take the time today to give you guys a brief overview and show you some things about the game, and then really talk about what we liked about the game, and maybe some things that we felt could maybe be improved on a little bit. So let's go ahead and jump down to the table. I'm going to give you guys hopefully a brief synopsis of the game, how it's going to work, and then we'll be back up here and we'll just be bouncing questions off each other and giving you our thoughts and opinions. Alright guys, we are down here at the table where we have everything set up for what will be a two-player game of Sunday League Football. So the overall premise of Sunday League Football is you are essentially a owner of a Sunday League Football team. And so there's 4 different teams in the game. You see I am the Whitelock Rovers and Sierra is the Anglers Town. Alright. We also have the other 2 in the prototype. Is, if I can get it here, we have the Scythe Ramblers. Alright, and then we have the Klachan FC. Okay, as always, just want to, again, just another reminder, guys, that the components and things you're looking at today here is a prototype. Nothing is final. All of this stuff is subject to change. But like I said, you are the owner of this Sunday League Football team, and you are going to be playing over the course of 3 weeks. All right. Within those 3 weeks, you're going to be playing 3 matches each. That is the normal mode for a 4-player game. In a 2 to 3 player game, Gastón said that really you could house rule it however you want to. So what me and Sierra have done is we just played 1 match over the course of 3 different weeks. So 1 match a week. And whoever won the best, basically best 2 out of 3 really, was the overall champion. Okay, but if you happen to be playing a 4-player game, what's really cool is each of you guys will have different numbers that you will draw, and that will be your club number. And if you can see here on the board, on your match day board, match day 1, that's that first week, match day 2, the second week, match day 3, the third week is what you're going to play. So how a week is going to be structured, before I dive into actually how the game kind of works, is, you have Monday through Sunday. So on Monday, you have the option to sack your manager. Everybody will have the ability to have a manager. Your manager is going to be able to provide you different bonuses, and your manager will have like a specific formation that you have the option to go in order to get better resources, or a better formation to match in order to get better resources. So you have that opportunity to sack your manager and get a new one if you're not happy. Tuesday, what's kind of cool is you have club negotiations. So depending on if you won, draw, or lost in your first match, some players on your team are going to be unhappy. And so you'll have to draw a certain number of cards from your deck of players here. And everybody else around the table is going to have the option to buy those players and add them into their deck, okay? As well as what's going to happen during this day is some of these free agent players are going to come out onto the board, and then there'll be a day, if you look on the board, Wednesday, you have the opportunity to have free agent negotiations. So same thing, you will go around the board and you will have the opportunity to buy free agents. And, on these cards, they'll have a number in the bottom right-hand corner of how much this guy would cost. So if you wanted to have Guido Gianni, that would cost you $30, okay? Thursday, you have a training day. So your manager is going to have some certain resources on him, and it's also going to have a number of tactic cards that you're able to hold as that manager. And so you have tactic cards in the game, attack tactics and defensive tactics. And so during this day, you can basically spend these resources, roll some dice, and if you are successful in rolling those dice, you will be able to take a certain amount of attack or defense based on the color of the resource that you have over here. Of course, Friday and Saturdays are going to be your day off, and then Sunday is going to be our match day. So you're always going to start off your match day by drawing one of these funny little Sunday League cards, and they're just super hilarious. Like this one says after party. So one of your football players, he was at an after party and he did not quite make it to the game, so you will have to discard one of these. So each player will draw one of those. You'll draw a referee. Now in the game, these decks will all be face down. We just wanted to have them face up so you can see. But you would draw that referee card, he would be a referee, and then you would play your match, okay? Really quick, there's a lot of depth to the matches themselves, but what's going to happen is you have your deck of 18 players. You are going to select your starting 11. You're going to have that deck of starting 11 players, and you're going to go ahead and give them a shuffle. And what you're going to do is a match is going to be played over the course of 3 turns, okay? You have the option on 2 of those turns to draw 3 cards. In one of those turns, you have the ability to draw 4, okay? You can choose what turn you want to draw 4, but you can only draw 4 one time, okay? Once you draw these players out, so let's just say I have these 3 guys, looking at the bottom of the cards here, these guys, these players are going to provide you with different resources, okay? So you have attack resources, which are red. You have blue resources, which are defense. You have goalie resources, which are yellow. We have sliding tackle cubes, and can't remember off the top of my head what the clear cubes are. But let's just say real quick, I'm just going to free this and just say I got 2, 1, 1, and this guy's got 2 defensive resources. Sierra's going to give herself some resources. So then what you guys are going to do with the resources here is you are going to bet these resources in different positions on this board to try and do certain things. So each player is going to have their own player screen. So in a normal game, we wouldn't be playing side to side, right? I'd be on one side, Sierra would be on the other. And you're going to take these resources that you have and you're going to bet them. So the possession phase of the game is always going to go first. So you would bet however many resources you want in possession. This would determine who is going to be the attacker and who is going to be the defender, all right? And then depending on whether you are the attack or defender, you are now going to bet the rest of your remaining resources that you have in these different squares to be able to do certain things. And you can trade out some of your defenses for a 2-to-1 ratio if you are the attacker. So let's say I would do something like this, okay? And so now what you would do is you would contest all these different boxes, and these boxes can kind of link together in order to do certain things. So like, for example, let's say I did something like this, and let's say Sierra had no resources out. She'll put some resources out to show you guys what a defensive side would look like. But let's just say I had a setup that looks like this. So what I would want to say is, hey guys, I want to test dribbling first. So I got 2 in dribbling. I would win dribbling. All right, these would go away. So then my dribbling would link up to the next thing. And then my finishing would link up to headers. And then my headers could link into a shot box. And then I'm ready to take a shot, right? So however many cubes I have in one shot box, let's just say I was able to get 2 cubes in a shot box here. What I would then do is you have a modifier, a deck of modifier cards. So I would I saw that. I would draw a modifier card, apply that to how many red cubes I have against the defense of the other player. And if my attack is greater than what the goalkeeper has in the other player's defense, then I score a goal, all right? and then that would be the end of that turn, and we would play 2 more turns. If the goalkeeper is greater, obviously it's going to be a save, and if it's equal, we would go ahead and take a corner kick. And there's a lot more. Again, guys, this is just a brief overview of the game. There's a lot more depth to the game. You have red cards, you have yellow cards, the referee's going to get involved and you roll some dice for the referee. As a defensive player, you can bet counterattacks, right? You can go on counterattacks. You can play all these different tactic cards. Players can get injured throughout the course of the game. And I think that's pretty much, is that anything out in terms of like other things? You got free kicks, corner kicks, things like that. So there's a lot of depth here.
Penalties.
Penalty.
It includes a lot of like real soccer terminology and plays and whatnot. What can actually happen in a soccer game?
Once you guys have played 3 turns, that will be the end of that match there, and then you would go ahead and collect your bonuses. So this is another cool thing about the game is you guys have sponsors in the game as well. So everybody's going to have their own starting sponsor. You are, what does that say?
Tavitos.
I am the club. So depending on, and all these starting sponsors are going to be the same. So if you get a win, you get $30, a draw is $20, and if you lose, you get $10. Then on top of that, you will select 3 random sponsors to be the sponsors of your Sunday Football League, and those are going to have different objectives as well. So we have Stein Finance, which is if you score at least 2 goals in your match, you get $20. We have Rusty Coffee. If you get at least 1 red card, that's $20. And then we have CNH-NY Airlines, which is win a header at least once for $10. So you have those objectives to try and get money, right? And then you can then use that money to buy free agents or buy other players from the other teams that are dissatisfied. And like I said, you guys are going to play over the course of 3 weeks. What's again cool is you have the scoring system up here. So of course, if you win, you get 3 points. If you draw, you get 1 point. If you lose, you have 0 points. And whatever club has the most points at the end of 3 weeks will be declared the Sunday League Football Federation champion. All right, guys, so let's go ahead, Sierra, and let's talk about the game. So, we can kind of break it down like we normally do with our reviews. Let's go ahead and start with the theme. What is your view of the theme? How thematic is this? And what did you like about it?
I think it's very thematic. I actually play in a Sunday soccer league, so it's kind of funny to me how specifically it is Sunday soccer, and like specifically I like the card where someone's drunk, the after party card, and they don't make it to the game, because that definitely happens. Sunday soccer is crazy, but it's great. But as far as like gameplay too, I think it's super thematic. Like certain players are better at certain things. So like this guy's good at crossing, so he's going to give you like a benefit when you try to do crosses. Or this guy has slide tackling. I think that's very normal, like for players to have kind of their specialty and what they're good at in soccer. And then like how it includes red cards, yellow cards, how the refs are all slightly different. And I think that all of that combined just makes it super thematic. And I actually love how it looks. I know you said this is the
prototype,
but I like it. It's very simple and clean looking, and then I like the way the fans look and the teams look too is kind of thematic as well, because fans go crazy. Maybe not at Sunday League soccer, my Sunday League soccer at least. Sometimes, but at clubs and whatnot. So
I would agree with that statement. I think the game is very thematic. I love the Sunday League like federation, like just the whole setup of like you have the different days of the week and you can do certain things and you can like get free agents, you can get other players. I love like how you match up with the different clubs and the I think for me what's really cool is the sponsors, like having the sponsors in there, like very, very thematic game. Like if you are a soccer fan and you love like that league type play, this game is going to be right up your alley. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about some of the components here. Obviously, you hit on it a little bit. This is a prototype. But it does look majority done. Okay, they still might change a little bit of things, but what do you think about the components? You kind of hit on a little bit. You like the setup. Is there anything else that you'd like to say?
I like the components a lot. The only things I would add are player, what are they called? The player cards? Player aid cards, because we definitely had to go back to the rule books a lot. There are certain times when we're playing and you leave certain resources out, but you remove other resources, and I would get confused on which resources get left and which resources you lose after. So if there was some way to like add that coloring in or something, but then it would change, I don't know. I think just adding a player aid card would be helpful. But as far as like the rest of the look of the components, I really like how it all looks. Even the money and stuff, I think it's cute.
Yeah. Agreed. I think that's the only real hiccup we had was just having some sort of player aid card that we can continually reference instead of having to go back to the rules like over and over again. I do enjoy the cubes. I love those little plastic cubes. I think that's so cool. It just feels like nice. It adds just a little pizzazz and pop to the game. I love the artwork here. It's very, again, it's like very Sunday league, like recreational type artwork with all the different players and things like that. It's a cool spin on a soccer game. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about the replayability here a little bit. Do you think that this game does have some good replayability with all the options? What are your thoughts and opinions on that?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good replayability just because there's so many cards and ways to change up the game. Like if you, of course, your actual starting team is pretty much the same. So maybe the beginning of the game would always start pretty similarly. But as you go in, like having different modifiers or tactics and things, having a lot of options, I think helps change this up and make it replayable.
Yeah. I like the replayability options here as well. I think to me this actually has a little bit more replayability than Undici. Just from I think the training week of that ability to buy my opponent's players that are dissatisfied. So like, you know, you can mix and match, and again, like your opponent doesn't have a choice on which players are unhappy. They would randomly draw. So like you could get one of your opponent's best players. So I think that's really cool because that like changed the whole dynamic of a team up like that. Your ability to buy free agents, your ability to buy sack managers and different things like that. There's not just like 10 managers, right? There's a whole deck of managers in the game. There's a whole deck of free agent players. There's a whole deck of those party cards or whatever. There's an abundance of different things here that really make this game replayable, and I think that it was really well designed from that aspect. All right, so let's talk about one last thing that we typically do. Let's talk about difficulty of the game, right? What are your kind of thoughts about how easy was it to pick up when we were in the middle of it, playing it? Just your experience with first coming and trying out Sunday League football.
I think there is some difficulty to learning it, at least the first couple of times, but then once you get the hang of it, it makes it a little bit easier, just how you are playing the different resources and how you add in like the specialty cards or manager resources or their special abilities. I do think it would make a big difference if it's a person that knows soccer versus someone that doesn't know soccer.
Yeah,
I think if you
that's
don't
huge.
know soccer, it is gonna be very confusing.
Yeah.
But for me and Jake, we love soccer, and you kind of know the tactics already and how it will fit together to like score a goal or whatnot or block a goal. I do think that comes into play with this game, but I do think it's something people can learn. It's just going to take a little extra time and a couple of playthroughs.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm in agreement with you. I think it was a little challenging at the start, having to go through all the rules. I think the rule book is well done. I think they do a good job of giving you a lot of different scenarios with pictures and things like that. But it's sometimes you might have to reread things over and over again to try to get a grasp. I think the main thing for me was like they use this term where it's called link up. And so you have all these different things that you're betting on, and then you can use those to link up to different things. And so, like Sierra said, like really, and Gaston himself said it, like the best way to understand and learn this game is to really just dive in and just jump in. And he said, you're going to make mistakes. And he said he made a bunch of mistakes the first time he played it, but it's just after you play it a couple more times, you kind of get the hang of it like, oh, okay, like I need to bet resources here and spread them out, or they're rather just loading up on one different thing. But I do think there is a little bit of learning curve here with the game, but I don't think it's a steep learning curve where it's going to turn you off to the game. Sometimes you're like having such a challenge trying to learn the game, you're like, I give up. I don't think it's that at all. There is a lot of strategy to the game, and there's so much depth to the game itself. And so I think once you really dive in and learn that, you're gonna have a great time with it. Okay, let's go ahead and wrap it up. Let's just talk about we've kind of just broad brush a lot of things, but let's talk about our overall feelings of the game. What are some things that's like? Let's go 2 things that we really enjoyed about the game here and our experience with playing Sunday League football.
You go first. Now you said 2 things, so now I gotta narrow it down.
Okay, I will go first. I think for me, it's the theme. I really enjoy the overall theme and the entire scope of the game, right? There's a lot of soccer board games out there now, funny enough, right? Like when Udici first came around, I think that was the only soccer board game that I saw. You have that board game called 11. We now have Sunday League football. But what I love about this one is this is so much different than any of those others to do. And for me, it's really the small things that the developers here and designers have really done. So it's that week, right? The full week of training and all the different things and the negotiations for me. It's the sponsors, like having the sponsors and the money. It's like Monopoly money. So as weird, as funny as that is, it's the little things here in Sunday League football that really make it stand out for me and make it really have an enjoyable experience.
So I can jump in on this. I would first piggyback on that. I've already said it. I absolutely love the theme. I think it's very well done. The second thing for me would be the design of the game. I think it's so well designed. Not only like how I've already talked about how the theme matches the design and how you play, but the way that you remove resources and you leave some makes the game like make sense. I don't know if I'm not gonna be able to make it come across really well.
Yeah.
But like in a real soccer match, let's say the defenders beat the attacker. A lot of the times the attacker goes down, so that attacker resources gets taken away, but the defense stays and keeps going, and they get a counter attack.
So now I'm gonna piggyback off her. I'll piggyback off her because she actually basically was gonna say my second thing is I love the mechanics of
mechanics.
I love the design mechanics here because this isn't just one singular thing. And so like where Sierra had talked about earlier, yes, if you don't know soccer, you're going to have a difficult time understanding some of the terminology. But I do feel if you know board games, then it's going to help you pick this up a lot. And so like the two things that really stand out to me are like the bidding system. Like I think that's really cool. Like I'm bidding these resources against my opponent, and like I've never, like I wouldn't expect that to be done in a soccer board game, right? And then the second thing for me is like there's almost like a deck building aspect of the game where you have your starting players, but then you have the opportunity to buy these other players and buy free agents. And so you're kind of building your deck and building your team with these different players. And so like if you know board games like a deck building game or a bidding system type game, things like that, then I think that's going to help you in the long run pick this game up a lot easier. So I think that's that second thing for me that really shines is some of those mechanics in the game of like making it work so well with a soccer board game.
So the last thing I was going to say about design is that you can really tell that the designer has played soccer.
Yeah.
The way that things shift and go back and forth, whether defense wins, dribbling or I guess attack with more, I don't know, depending on who wins what. You can tell the designer took that into play, and this goes right back to theme, but the design and how it overlaps is so good. He does certain things that prevent you from like putting all of your resources only in passing,
yeah.
So you can get through to make the game like more even and more fair, whatnot. And I just think that that's a good way to keep the game, like the game flow going.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I agree. I think that's a fantastic. I think that's a fantastic synopsis of what he's done there. And I think like the only hiccup for us is just having that player aid card. I think having some type of player aid card would be huge. So we could just kind of reference that. And I think that's really our only hiccup with the game that we really saw and really can think of. But all right, guys. Well, this again is Sunday League Football, coming to you from Sunday League Games and designed by Gastón Montes. Y'all be on the lookout. This comes to Gamefound sometime soon. Don't have an official date for you yet, but we do at some point plan to get a playthrough of this on our channel so you can guys see how it actually works instead of just listening to us talk about it.
It'd be so slow right now. Give us a couple more times trying to play.
Yeah, we want to get a smooth playthrough in and make sure we go through all the steps and can get a quick and efficient playthrough out to all of you guys. All right, guys. Well, if you have any thoughts and opinions, please go ahead and drop those down in the comments below. We do hope this was a good video for you to get a good gauge of everything that you're looking at on the campaign page. If you enjoyed this content, smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and as always, guys, if you are not subscribed to our channel, please go ahead and subscribe so we can keep bringing you some more awesome content. All right, guys. Have a great one. Bye.
Bye.